one of the themes that I'd like to explore tonight in relationship, especially to the sacrifice of Isaac, is that, once humanity had established the idea that sacrifice was necessary to move ahead, which is really, it's a discovery of incalculable magnitude, right? The idea that you can give up something in the present and that will, in some sense, ensure a better future is an unbelievable achievement. It's equivalent to the discovery of the future. It's equivalent to the discovery of the utility of work. Like, its importance can't be overstated. Okay, so it took a long time for people to figure this out. Animals haven't figured it out at all, right? We've figured it out, and it's hard. It's hard for people to make sacrifices because, of course, the present has a major grip on you, as it should, because in some way you live in the present. So anyways, there's the twin problem of getting the whole idea of sacrifice up and running and then figuring out exactly what it means. But there's a problem that branches off that too, or a twofold problem. So the hypothesis is that sacrifice is necessary to ensure that the future is safe and secure and productive and positive and all of those things. Okay, so then two questions immediately rise from that, right? One is, well, what's the proper sacrifice? Now, we already talked about that a little bit with regards to Cain and Abel, and one of the things we saw was that Cain's sacrifice, whatever it was wrong, and Abel's was right. Noah's seemed to be right. Abraham seems to be right. There is something about a sacrifice that can be correct. There's something about a sacrifice that can be incorrect. The question is, what would be the maximally correct sacrifice? So, because that's an obvious question to arise from the mere observation that sacrifice is necessary. Okay, if you're going to sacrifice and it's necessary, well, how is it that you would behave if you were going to do it really well, if you're going to do it perfectly? Okay, so that's question number one. And then question number two might be, well, if the future can be better because of a sacrifice, and sacrifices can vary in quality, then how much better could the future be if your sacrifice was of the highest quality, right? There's a limit issue there, and the limit is something like, well, how good could your life be? If you really got your act together and you gave up all the things that were impeding you in your movement forward, if you did that forthrightly and with integrity and with seriousness, with dead seriousness, and you tried to set your life right, what is the upper limits with regards to how your life might lay itself out? And I would say, well, we don't know the answer to that, but I think that the idea of something like the city of God or the kingdom of God on earth or the reestablishment of paradise, something like that, is the answer of the imagination to the question, how good could the future be if sacrifice was optimized? And those are archetypal questions, right? And an archetypal question is a question that everyone asks, whether they know it or not, because sometimes you can act out a question. An archetypal question is a question that everyone asks, and an archetypal answer is the answer that can't be made any better to that question. So I can give you an example of that. The reason that Christ's passion is an archetypal story is because it's a kind of limit, right? It's the worst possible set of things that can happen to the best possible person. So it's a story that constitutes a limit. It has nothing to do with the factual reality of the story. That's a completely independent issue. I'm speaking about this psychologically, is that certain stories can exhaust themselves in a perfect form, and that would be the archetypal form. So that's the territory that we're going to wander around in a little bit today, and we'll use the stories as anchors.